Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Jiva and welcome back for a new video. So first off, happy October. Today is finally October 1st and that means the spooky season of the year has finally begun. The weather outside is very on brand for today. It's actually very rainy and very gloomy and just very cold again. And it's sort of the perfect time to actually sit down and have a cozy good time with you guys once again. I don't know about you guys, but I just honestly could never get like tired or bored of talking about fall books. In my opinion, it's just the best way to spend time, honestly. So I would actually love to tell you about some of the autumn books, some of my autumn TBR books that I finally decided on. I had struggles this year, guys, because there are just so many amazing books that really fit the autumn vibes. But I finally managed to make a little pile, make a little list. Is it an unrealistically long list of books? Yes, it is, unfortunately, but still, you know. The excitement got to me and I just couldn't stop adding books to my TBR, so I'm here today to tell you about them. But before we get to books, I honestly believe the best way to start a rainy and gloomy day like today is by making a sweet snack. Okay everybody, we have the little mice ready. I decided to get some homemade jam and actually add it together. I tried to do some plating, okay? Please don't judge me. I apparently don't have much talent when it comes to plating. So yes, but I'm just gonna try to dunk it in the jam. Okay everybody, let's see if this combo is any good. Can confirm, it is very good. And now I can hear the family, so I'm actually gonna go and offer them some of this to try. I'll be right back. Okay everybody, so one thing I did misjudge today is that fritole is not the sort of snack you should be bringing anywhere close to your books because it's just very oily and messy, so you can get some stuff on your books that you don't want on your books. So I ate them in the safety of the kitchen. And now I just brought my tea here with me so I can finally talk about some books. So I think I mentioned today that I have here a slightly unrealistically long list of books I would love to read this fall. And that's actually just because I'm trying to take mood reading into account, you know? It's always best to have a wide selection of books in case mood reading strikes you, and then you can still stick to your TBR even while mood reading, if that makes sense. Or it could just be that I could narrow it down. So if you guys would like to help me out, if you see any books on this title, on this list, that you're like, you should 100% be reading that right now, please let me know. I am always open to like public opinion. So yeah, definitely if you see something you like, please let me know. But yeah, so jumping into it, I actually have some sequels that are coming out this year that I'm really looking forward to picking up. So the first couple of sequels that are already out are The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore. This is the sequel to the BookTok famous The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. And I feel like pretty much a lot of people already are familiar with these books, but if you're not and you like Gilmore Girls, I think these books are for you. We follow these cast of characters who live in this small town, and they have a really great like small town community. There's romance, there's bakeries, there's cafes, there's bookshops, and you know, we kind of follow the people who run all of these businesses inside a small town. So I read the first book last year and it was so incredibly charming. I fell in love with it, and I was really glad to hear that the author was actually going to write more books following the side characters from the first book. So in the sequel, we actually have Hazel and Noah as they go on a treasure hunt. Hazel owns a bookstore and she finds there a book with like directions of how to find this treasure. So she kind of calls up Noah and asks him if he wants to join her. So they go on this treasure hunt together, and I assume there's gonna be a romance. So yes, adorable. I can't wait to actually get back to this world, back to these characters, to the community, to everything. Like out of all the books that I read so far, I feel like these come the closest to actually capturing the kind of like essence of Gilmore Girls, the TV show. So yeah, love these. Another sequel that's come out is a romantasy. It's called Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mehrer, the second book to Assistant to the Villain. I freaking adore these books so much because they are just so fun and so fast-paced and so entertaining. It's so easy to like root for the characters even though they are supposedly the villains of the kingdom. I freaking hated the last year so bad because the first book actually ends on a cliffhanger. So I've been just waiting on the edge of my seat to finally get the sequel so I can learn what's going to happen to the characters next. And yeah, the story is basically just as the title says. We're following the assistant to this nefarious person in the kingdom called the villain. So we have Evie Sage, who becomes his assistant, and she meets all of his other employees, and some she gets along with, others she doesn't really. But yeah, it's all about, you know, their little shenanigans that they get up to, and it's just very, very fun. This is actually the one that I'm currently reading. I'm currently already listening to the audiobook of Apprentice to the Villain, and I can happily say that the sequel is just as fun and just as entertaining as the first book was. So yeah, love this one a lot. Then we're actually getting a couple of witchy sequels. And the first one is the third book in the Aaron Sterling series, so the third book to the Ex-Hex and the Kiskers. We're getting The Wedding Witch, I think sometime in October. I have no idea what it's about. I just know that we follow one of the characters that we meet in the first two books. And another witchy sequel that's coming out is called Hex and Hexability, and that's by Kay Johnson. So I read two Kay Johnson books before. I read Hex Appeal and Hex in the City, and I absolutely adored both of them. I love Kay Johnson's writing style, and I'm pretty sure Hex and Hexability is actually gonna be like a Jane Austen inspired witchy book. So I think that's gonna be added bonus to that as well. And yeah, I think this one already came out, or it's also coming out in October. I'm actually not sure, but I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on that. I might actually just listen to the audiobook as well because I think I've read the first couple of them as audiobooks as well. So yeah, I think they're also available on Everrent. If you have Everrent and you'd like to check out this whole entire series, you can actually do so. They are available on there, so yes. Okay, then the rest of this list is gonna be much more like miscellaneous. There's a little bit of everything. We're just gonna continue on with another couple of witchy books I'd love to get to. Cider Mill Coven by Vanessa Abigail and Go Hex Yourself by Jessica Clare that I'd love to read. In this one, we have three cousins who realize that they have magic and they go and live with their grandmother so she can teach them all about magic. They're living at an orchard. There's like a magical convention type of thing that happens. It's set in the 90s. There's a lot to love about this book. I've actually started reading this one last year, but then I kind of wasn't in the mood for it, so I decided to like leave it for later. And now it's later. Now it's finally time to actually pick it back up and continue reading. As for this other one, Go Hex Yourself, it's all about this woman who didn't know that magic existed until she applies for a job that she saw on like a job ad, and turns out it's a job for a witch, so she becomes a witch's familiar, and the circumstances of her employment actually lead her to have to work with like her employer's grandson or nephew or something, and they have to work together to break a curse. This one just sounds like it's gonna be so fun. I love the cover of this one. It's kind of like a very attractive like witchy romance type of cover, and I love the elements that you get on there. So yes, I'm looking forward to actually reading this one. And then I think for the rest of it, I have some fantasy novels. So we also have here The Library of the Unwritten by A.G. Hackwith. This one I've had on my TBR for years now, and I think it's finally time to actually check it out and read it. Especially since the premise for this one is so original and very like, I don't know, something that I've never really heard of before. So we have like a special circle in hell dedicated to books that have been like abandoned by their authors. So authors have books that they never finished, and those books end up in the circle of hell. And the job of the people who work in the circle is to protect or like kind of guard the characters from these abandoned books from, you know, escaping and looking for their authors and basically harassing them to finish their stories. But I think what ends up happening is that some of these characters do escape and start like wreaking havoc in the world. So the librarians from this, you know, circle of hell have to go out there and actually look for them and bring them back. If I'm not mistaken, I could be getting some of these details wrong, but yeah, it's just so original and so cool and nothing really that I've ever read before. Another book I'd love to get to is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. Now, I've heard a lot of praise for all of Ava Reid's books, this one especially since it came out last year, and I feel like a lot of people were reading it and a lot of them seem to love it a lot. So yeah, but we basically follow this student, this architecture student, who applies to a competition to design her favorite late author's house. And there she discovers all kinds of secrets, and the competition is probably pretty cutthroat as well. And there's mentions of fairies in the synopsis on the back, but I have no idea how the fairies are going to play into the story, so I can't tell you that, but it definitely sounds very interesting. And I think the people were mostly praising the autumnal atmosphere that the book manages to capture. So yes, I actually would love to get to this one this year as well. Then we have actually a newer release that came out this year, and it's called Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. It's about this young woman who is sick, and I'm pretty sure she's sick with something terminal, and then she ends up being transported to her favorite fictional world. And when she gets there, she thinks she's like gonna be the hero of the story, but turns out she's actually gonna be the villain of the story. She has to be the villain of the story to like get things done. So yeah, that's what I know about it. I don't know anything else. I don't really want to know anything else, but I'm really looking forward to this one. Especially since I feel like I've read something by Sarah Rees Brennan before, but I honestly can't remember what I've read by her. Next up I have here a duology that I can now finally read since I finally have both the books in my possession, and that is Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I've just heard amazing things about both of these books, and I think the reason why I would love to read these ones are because it's feeding directly into my need to read some really good romance right now. Like, I need something like about star-crossed lovers, about like true love, soulmates, something, anything with that kind of theme, and I feel like this actually comes pretty close to that, since we have two of the characters here on the cover who start like a secret correspondence with each other without really knowing that they're writing to each other, and they end up falling in love. But there's also gods who play a role in the story. I think the gods are at war with somebody or something along those lines. I'm not really sure, but I have heard really great things about the romance in here, so that's kind of like the reason why I'm pushing these books to the top of my TBR, because I would really love to get to them. I freaking love these covers so much. They are so magical and pretty and just everything. So yes, I think it's finally time to actually jump into these two and just enjoy the ride. And then I have another couple here. Like I said, this list is kind of irrationally long. But I have another books on my physical TBR. Like one of the main reasons why I'm making this TBR is that I just really want to get to the books that I own right now to kind of like narrow down my physical TBR to less books, or like get my physical TBR down to less books. So I would really love to like focus first on the books that I own already and not on the books that I don't have, you know. But yeah, two that I would also love to get to is first The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I don't think I really need to say much more than that. I feel like this book is just very popular. And yeah, I haven't read it yet. I don't know what's keeping me from it, but I think this is the sort of book that would be perfect for November, like with a girl and the deal with the devil and when nobody remembers her, and like it seems like the type of story that really makes you think about life. And I feel like November is a really great month to be thinking about life. So yes, I think I'm gonna save this one for November. And then another one that just is a type of book that you need to read during fall, like any other season wouldn't really work for it, and that is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. So yeah, it's about Dracula's first wife, and that's all I know about it. So yeah, those two books kind of round off my physical autumn TBR. Here's the pile. Just looking at it right now makes me feel extremely overwhelmed. But you know what, just in case that's not enough and like mood reading finally strikes me, I also was just going through Everrand. I love using Everrand during autumn because I feel like they just have a really great selection of very autumnal sounding books, especially audiobooks, because like if you're doing some cozy hobbies like putting together a puzzle or just like doing art or journaling or cooking or baking or whatever, it's really nice to have like an audiobook to go with it. So I found some interesting sounding audiobooks in Everrand as well as some ebooks. So I wanted to quickly tell you about some of those as well. So the first one we have is The Library of the Dead. This is by T.L. Huko. It's all about this like ghost talker, somebody who can talk to ghosts, and the ghosts start telling her that there's children who are being harmed in this place where she lives. It's like set in Scotland. It looks kind of like gothic-y, and obviously we have ghosts, so it doesn't really get more October than this. Another book that just sounds incredible is called Dreadful by Caitlin Rosakis. This is about this man who ends up waking up in an unfamiliar body without the memory of how he ended up there or who he is or that kind of thing. All he knows is that this is not his life, and he wakes up as a villain. He has like a princess trapped in a dungeon. He has goblins working for him and stuff like that. So it sounds like it's gonna be another just like kind of weird type of story, but again just really interesting. It somehow reminds me of Long Live Evil by Sarah Bruce Brennan a little bit, you know. And then actually another book that I would for sure love to check out this fall is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Briggs, because I just got a notification from Netflix that the movie is actually available on Netflix, and I've never read the book before, nor have I seen the movie, so it feels like right now is the perfect time to actually jump into it. I've had it on my TBR for like 10 years now, ever since it came out and it kind of blew up on you know, Book Talk back in the day. I've had it on my TBR, but for some reason never got around to it. And it's all about these peculiar children who live at this orphanage on this island and about their like governess or something. So yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be weird but also magical and whimsical and that kind of thing. There's also Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman and Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I've been really thinking about checking out Practical Magic and then check out the movie because it's another story that I've never seen before or read before. So it seems like the perfect time to actually jump into it right now. You also have all of the other Alice Hoffman books actually available on Everrand. And the last 3 books I'd like to tell you about are actually 3 audiobooks that I found available. And the first one is The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods and Evie Goffin, I want to say. So this is all about this magical bookstore that appears to 3 young people who don't really feel like they are the main characters of their own lives. And the books that I find in this bookstore actually help them learn how to become the main characters of their own lives. Another one is At a Coffee Shop of Curiosities by Heather Weber. Here we actually follow a couple of women who are both in mourning, and they kind of meet each other and learn to be like kindred spirits, like help each other heal and that kind of thing. It's all about like new beginnings and moving and finding your people and that sort of thing, you know. It sounds like it's gonna be very beautiful. And the last audiobook I'd like to recommend is actually a book that came out this year, and it's called The Games Gods Play. This is actually a book about Greek gods. So the Greek gods hold a competition every 100 years, and whoever wins the competition is actually gonna rule the Olympians for the next 100 years. So we have our main character who has been kind of like spurned by Zeus. So she's been trying to live her life on the down low until Hades starts showing some interest in her. And not only that, Hades actually picks her to be his champion to enter this competition between gods. So yeah, it sounds really, really interesting. It kind of makes me think of Percy Jackson, but for adults. And yeah, I can't wait to actually check this one out. It's definitely one of those that I'm kind of like 100% gonna be checking out. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of this video. Those are some of the books that are on my radar right now for the next couple of months, for October, November. Like I said before, please help me pick some of the books that I should 100% be reading this fall. And if you have any of these books on your own TBRs as well, or what you're reading, yeah, I'd love to chat with you down below. So yeah, okay, that's gonna be it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking out this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're having a good day or night wherever you are. So until next time, bye bye!